My name is Bill Lunney, and I'm president of the Foundation for Dane County Parks.
And I'm Judie Pfiefer, and I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Foundation. Welcome to this Conservation Corner about the history of Dane County Parks.
From a humble beginning of 47 acres at Stewart Park in 1935, Dane County Parks has grown to 15,000 acres today. We have the most naturally diverse, innovative, and popular county park system in the state, with 25 recreation parks, 29 wildlife areas, 8 dog parks, over 100 miles of trails attracting over 3 million visitors per year. When one looks at the growth of a park system, common themes emerge. 6 pillars build and sustain a park system. First is Mother Nature, who provides the canvas for the park, whether it's water, wetlands, or natural landscape. Then there's the community, which provides local support. Next are government resources, followed by landowners imbued with a stewardship ethic. Then the professional day-to-day management using sound science. And finally, the supporting volunteers and friends groups who act as the citizen backbone. Now let's journey through our Dane County parks, beginning with our first park, Stewart Park. The land that eventually became Stewart Park was located in a picturesque valley sculpted by Mother Nature. The area, though, functioned as a park more than 20 years before it was purchased by Dane County. In 1912, a group of Mount Horeb citizens purchased the land, naming it Lake Park. Within a few months, a dam was built, creating the lake, and that winter, the new lake became a skating haven. Soon the founders built a ski jump, and within a year, ski jumping was a major regional attraction. Eventually, though, due to unfortunate events, the enterprise ended, and the land remained dormant for a generation. In the mid-1930s, Dane County Board Chair Frank Stewart had been looking for land for the county to purchase. So in 1935, the county purchased those 47 acres for $2,800, of which $1,000 was contributed by the village of Mount Horeb. That was the first partnership that bought the land, but it certainly wasn't the last. In the midst of the economic depression, park systems throughout the country got a huge boost from the Civilian Conservation Corps. The CCC planted trees and developed parks infrastructure, including roads, trails, and dams. Many are still used today. The county was able to leverage those federal CCC resources to create improvements at Stewart Lake. Parks are located near natural resources, and that was never more evident than the early evolution of the park system. After purchasing Stewart, the county purchased within 2 years 3 parks on the Yahara chain of lakes. Babcock Park near McFarland, Goodland Park on Lake Waubesa, and La Follette Park on Lake Kaghansa. Then the war years intervened, but in the early 1950s, 2 more parks were added to the system. Mendota Park was acquired on Lake Mendota, and next the county bought the 159-acre Brigham Park in the majestic Blue Mounds, with one of the best views in southern Wisconsin. The county government for the parks over the years has been consistent. During the 1960s, the county added Festge Park near Cross Plains, also with a spectacular viewshed of the valley below, Token Creek near Sun Prairie, and the beautiful Lakeview Hill near Madison, bringing the total public acreage to nearly 1,000. But it was in the 1970s that county parks enjoyed a huge growth spurt. The county added such areas as Camrock Park near Cambridge, Viking Park near Stoughton, Indian Lake Park north of Middleton, Badger Prairie Park near Verona, William Lunney Lake Farm Park on Lake Waubesa, now a part of the Capitol Springs Recreation Area, McCarthy Park near Sun Prairie, and Walking Iron Park near Mazomanie, totaling nearly 3,000 acres by the end of the decade. Additionally, Schumacher Farm County Park near Waunakee serves as a cultural site celebrating farming in the early 20th century. Many of those parks were obtained with substantial support from their local communities and private donations. The 1970s was also the time when the first professional staff was employed. Prior to that time, our parks were managed by the Park Commission with help of park caretakers. In the 1970s, we also developed the first Parks and Open Space Plan. Developed every 5 years thereafter, the plans provide publicly guided and professionally crafted roadmaps directing our policies and land acquisition. People love parks and trails. We are preserving a necklace of green with our parks and natural resource areas as the jewels, and our 110 miles of trails connecting those jewels. This necklace will be the source of our county's natural resource conservation for generations to come. Parks and trails boost the county's economy by drawing over 3 million visitors a year. Parks and trails promote good physical and mental health. Parks are havens for wildlife and biological diversity and help prevent flooding. And programming in parks help increase people's understanding of the natural world around us. It is believed by Pulitzer Prize-winning scientist E.O. Wilson that our relationship with nature is incorporated in our DNA and essential to our aesthetic, intellectual, and even spiritual satisfaction. It's not a coincidence that many of the same lands and trails were highly desirable to Native Americans. Without their land ethic, we would not have the natural resources we enjoy today. In the late 1980s and into the 90s, the county created a land conservation fund, providing significant resources for land acquisition and development. Using those monies, the parks pioneered new ideas, emphasizing natural resource areas, including the beautiful Donald Park near Mount Horeb, Prairie Moraine Park near Verona, and we also added wildlife sanctuaries and hiking venues like Pheasant Branch Conservancy near Middleton, and open space corridors like the Lewis E-Way south of Madison. And we preserved Native American cultural sites. During that time, and with the help of a generous donation, we developed Jenni and Kyle Preserve. Part of the Capital Springs recreation area, it is designed specifically for people with special developmental challenges. This preserve also has a beautiful mural, which is an example of how art can enhance our parks. Also, Dane County was one of the first in the country to develop parks for dogs and their owners. In the year 2000, the county and the state forged an agreement creating the Capital Springs Recreation Area, jointly managed by Dane County and DNR, containing nearly 2,800 acres of existing county parks, state land, and the Capital City Trail. This area will eventually become Dane County's Central Park. The county also built the Lussier Family Heritage Center with private donations. Located in Lunney Lake Farm Park, the center hosts over 20,000 people a year. During that time, the county's voters overwhelmingly passed a conservation fund referendum, allocating $30 million for parkland acquisition. Assisted by state matching funds and local land trusts, we were able to add significant acreage to the Lewis E-Way and more acreage to the Ice Age National Trail right in our backyard, following the glacial moraine all the way through Wisconsin. We also opened over 20 miles of stream bank easements, providing public access to some of the best sport fishing in the state. We also added Silverwood Park near Edgerton, Lussier Park near Sauk City, Yahara Heights near Cherokee Marsh, as well as 2 donated county forests, one of which is the majestic Morton Forest near Mazomanie. More recently, with the support of County Executive Parisi, we added new parks and trails, including Anderson Farm Park near Oregon, Sugar River Wildlife Area near Paoli, and the Lower Waubesa Wetlands. In 2017, we opened the Lower Yahara River Trail, connecting McFarland to the Capital City Trail by a bridge over Lake Waubesa, eventually going to Stoughton. Also, a modern-day version of CCC has been created, with youth working in our county parks through Operation Fresh Start. Of great long-term significance, we have created the foundation for Dane County Parks and the Friends of Dane County Parks Endowment, which together will provide a self-sustaining source of non-public revenue to our parks in perpetuity. Parks are too important to rely totally on government. One only needs to look at what is happening to our state parks. Our land conservation is rooted in our history of loving the land. Our parks and resource areas would not have been conserved without the Native Americans who resided here for centuries, followed in recent times by landowners who nurtured the land for generations. They were stewards of the land, passing it on to generations into the future. They represent the fiber that allows our county parks to be so special. People and organizations who don't treat the land like a commodity to buy and develop for their own profit, but held in trust for future generations. But our commitment to sound stewardship of the land doesn't stop once the land is obtained. That is why parks need friends groups and volunteers, and the Parks Foundation as a support mechanism. They are the final pillar of our parks. These volunteers and friends groups are the champions for our parks. We have 18 active friends groups as well as over 4,000 volunteers bolstering our parks. They provide many services that the county does not have the resources for, including land stewardship, invasive removal, prairie and tree planting, trail development, parks programming, financial support, and advocacy. But these volunteers need support, and this is why the Parks Foundation endowment is essential to the success of our parks. We are fortunate to have these essential pillars of support for our parks. With a canvas provided by Mother Nature and support of the community, individual landowners, a visionary government, and the professional staff supported by committed volunteers, we have the best county park system in Wisconsin. But this is a challenging time for our parks, and we believe that access to our natural world is a basic human right and must be available to all. I will leave with these thoughts. A park is not just a piece of land, it's a vibrant part of a community. It's a source of pride and a place for people to reconnect with the natural beauty around us. In conclusion, we should be guided by the wisdom of our Native American brothers and sisters as they live by this tenet. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. That is our challenge. With your help, we can meet that challenge.
Thank you all for joining us today.